It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And this is news that you can use from CarEdge for Monday, March 11th. And thankfully, your hosts, me, Ray, and Zach. And the thankfully is, well, my mattress was just delivered, and the guys just walked out the door in the nick of time.
Every once in a while, we get some really interesting folks to join us here on the CarEdge, on the Ray and Zach channel. Excuse me, CarEdge.com. That's the company that sponsors these things because it's our company. But Dad, every once in a while, we get some really awesome folks. Brandon from Car Questions Answered here with us today. Go check out his channel. Brandon, how are you doing? Happy Monday.
I am good. I'm great. Thank you for letting me come on. It's always a treat to be on here, and you don't invite me on enough, so I have to invite myself.
Hey man, we're just grateful to get to spend time with you. I want to kick things off right here, folks. Really difficult day over in Ford land. I got 3 stories, Brandon and Pops, that I'm going to show you for why things have gotten even worse for Ford. The most popular in-demand Ford vehicle in the market right now happens to be the Ford Maverick. It is also their most affordable pickup truck that they offer, and sadly, production decreased significantly in February. All right, we'll spend some time digging into how and why that happened. We also have Ford being at the hands of a supplier strike, which has actually led to production being paused on the Ford Focus, another one of their more affordable vehicles. And at the same exact time, we've gotten some new clarity on why Ford F-150 Lightnings have been stashed in Dearborn. Let me scroll down so we can all see those photos. Well, it's because of a mechanical issue with the vehicles. We'll spend a second on that right here. There is a good reason. Here it is right here. There's a stop ship while they're working to fix headlight issues with the new F-150 Lightnings.
I thought you were going to say the mechanical issue was because they didn't put a gas-powered motor in there.
I was thinking that as well. And you know what I find odd about all this? That for whatever reason they decided to try and take care of that headlight issue prior to putting it into the customer's hands. This is a whole new approach rather than inconveniencing their customers. I'm not. They might have to fire this entire executive team for thinking customers first.
Rough week. Rough way to start the week over at Ford, but can you be too surprised? We've been covering Ford stories for years now here, and Ford, where quality is job one is the slogan, but we have an example of production going down on their most popular, most in-demand vehicle, production being halted by supplier strikes, which we thought we got through that with the UAW, but not so
Apparently
fast.
Not.
And mechanical issues rearing their ugly head on the bell at the ball, the new F-150 Lightning. Brandon, are you surprised by any of this?
No, so I just got a mental image of Jim Farley going through that line of all the F-150 Lightnings with a baseball bat, just hammering each one of the headlights so he doesn't have to send them out to dealers.
I like that. Brandon, I must say, I like where your head is at today. I really do. You, I believe, are going to bash Ford harder than I normally would.
I get a lot from our comments saying I rip into Ford so much, but the thing about it is them and Stellantis. I mean, if they want to stay in the news, what are we supposed to do? We're supposed to talk about it, right?
Yeah,
absolutely. What's shocking are the Maverick production numbers. So let's look at those. Ford produced just 10,774 Ford Maverick pickups in December, which represented a month-over-month decrease of 3,000 units for them. However, they turned things around in January. There were 16,269 units produced. And then we end up here in February, and there were 5,000, where is it here? In February, there were 14,316 units produced, down nearly 2,000 from the month prior. So we've got the most popular vehicle, the hardest one for dealers to actually keep their hands on, still selling in some markets with market adjustments. Mm-hmm. Those are the ones that, unfortunately, Ford is not able to keep up production while they have those big full-size F-150 Lightnings, which they've stopped sending to dealers, and they've stopped some production lines as well, sitting there. starting to get that classic lot rot going on. And this is not just a Ford story. We're seeing this with other domestic automakers as well. For example, we have the Chevy Trailblazer. Sales for the Trailblazer over at GM, absolutely terrible in the end of 2023. So the domestics are really getting hammered here, both with quality issues, production challenges, and obviously everything in between.
What is Ford? What's the reason for the decrease in Maverick production? I mean, this is, the Maverick was sort of kind of like the Lightning in that. Well, they had like 400 million vehicles pre-sold once they announced the car was coming out, and why can't they produce them? I mean, why aren't they putting the dollars that they need into producing those so that they can satisfy some of the demand that they've had on that vehicle? Some people have been waiting 1.5 years, 2 years to get their Maverick.
Yeah, we have no specific comments from Ford as for why the production declined. Go for it, Brandon.
Yeah, I have a guess. I would assume it's taking sales away from some of their more higher margin products. So why pump out the stuff that they're going to make $5,000 on when they can sell something they're going to make $20,000 on? They don't want customers going to Mavericks when they can sell them a Ranger or F-150.
It's an interesting take. I will say, though, dealers are still trying to get away. I mean, not all dealers. You can purchase a Ford Maverick through CarEdge, for example. Not all dealers are adding markups, but a lot of them still are. And I think that continues to tarnish the Ford brand. You'd think they'd want to end up in a place where they can actually meet demand, because that should be one of the segments of their vehicle sales that are going up, rather than like we saw with the F-150s, where sales are actually contracting. They're down. So maybe there's some efficacy to that. I do know on the Focus, for example, this is supplier related. So you have it right here. Production at the forgive me, folks, I don't know how to pronounce that. At one of the assembly plants was seemingly set to be impacted by a strike after German union IG Metall called for the employees of 5 nearby suppliers, Magna, Benteler, Tenneco, Rennes, and Lear Corporation, to take action after it made little progress over the past several months. And so you ultimately have Ford Focus production going offline. So you have Ford taking it from every what direction. Doesn't really seem to matter. Really kind of sad, in all honesty, how many challenges that automaker is facing. And all the while, you have people come into our chats and saying things like this: I'm working a deal on an F-150 right now. Frankly, I don't see how they could give me any better deal, and I still don't want it.
That's not a good thing. Can you how you like to do things live on the air?
Yeah.
Well, let's see if we can get things even worse for Ford. Can we go to the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration and see how they're doing recall wise for the year? Are they still leading the league in recalls?
All right, I haven't looked.
Yeah, neither have I. I have no idea.
I don't think you need to.
Oh no, Ford is losing. There's
Look at
15 recalls so far in 2024 for Forest River Inc. Aren't they RVs?
I think so.
And then number 2 is Ford. Oh my gosh, already 2.1 million vehicles affected.
And it's only March 11th. Oh, that's just a drop in the bucket. So,
oh my, let's go through this. So Forest River, which is RVs, has 15 recalls impacting 13,000 vehicles. Ford has 10 recalls impacting 2.149 million vehicles. BMW has 7 recalls impacting 80,000 vehicles. Chrysler has 7 recalls impacting 612,000 vehicles. Mercedes, 6 recalls, 165,000 vehicles. GM, 5 recalls, 626,000 vehicles. Nissan, 5 recalls, 80,000 vehicles. Navistar, Jayco, Jaguar Land Rover, 5 recalls, 60,000 vehicles. Kia, 5 recalls, 176,000 vehicles. And Daimler Trucks, 200. So it's not even close.
You mean for the number of vehicles that are impacted?
It's not even, they're not even in spitting distance.
No. I mean, it was like when Barry Bonds was on steroids. I mean, just hitting home run after home run after home run. these guys at Ford, where once again their tagline is "quality is job none." These guys I mean, they do recalls on steroids to impact 2.1 something million vehicles. Is just ridiculous. Just it just says to me that we're not remotely interested in producing a quality vehicle. We're just interested in producing vehicles. And you know what? Shame on customers for buying them, honestly.
Brandon, I want to do another live experiment here. Can we look at some Ford Market Day supply? I need you to give me a zip code or a region. I don't want you to out yourself where you are in the country, but do you have an area of the country in mind? And I can plug in the zip and let's look at some of the Ford Market Day supply.
Yeah, we can do Charlotte. I'm close to Charlotte. I don't know the zip code.
You do or you don't? You don't.
I don't. I can pull it up real quick.
I got it. 28105 is the zip we're going to use.
Here's a good zip code. 28105, buddy.
105. There we go. Update location. And then we want to look at new Fords.
Okay. These are exciting times when we do these things.
Yeah, it's always exciting. All right, so here's some 2023 F-150s. I'm going to open a few in some new tabs. Oh, here's a new 2024 F-250, a Super Duty. We'll look at that. A Mach-E. What else do we want to look at? Escape. I want to look at a Lightning. Let's see if we can get a Lightning on the next page.
It's inconceivable to me why you would even want to look at a Lightning.
Because
that was for Redger 81. He wanted me to say inconceivable. I was trying to figure out a way to work that into normal conversation.
Here's a Lightning.
There's a Lightning, and do a Mach-E.
I've seen a lot of Bronco Sports sitting around lately too.
Yeah, we'll look at Bronco Sports in a second here. So only 194 of the Lightning Lariat, 43 for sale, 10 that have sold in the last 45 days. Let's go back and, like you said, let's look at the Bronco Sport. I'm interested to see that. Whoops. I need to do Bronco Sport.
I'm surprised. 10 sold that seems high.
It does seem high in 45 days, doesn't it?
I got to get rid of the electric. Let's see. Let me pull up Bronco Sport.
This is good TV.
Yeah, 34,000. Thanks, man. We practice it. All right, in Outer Banks.
Yes.
Oh, Brandon.
Oh my.
Wow.
Isn't the Bronco supposed to be popular?
That's cheap too. It's only a $40,000 cheap, relatively speaking, $40,000 vehicle, and it's got a 278-day supply.
Well, so I remember when I started doing the dealership hopping thing early in the YouTube thing, but that was less than a year ago that I was doing that, and I remember seeing $10,000 and $20,000 markups on the Outer Banks models. And now we're seeing those same models that I was probably filming. I probably filmed that exact Bronco you're looking at because I was doing that about 8 to 10 months ago.
What do you think the odds are that one of the reasons they have such a high day supply is because they still have the markups on them?
So I've been to a dealership probably about 3 months ago that I went to that saw the markups on the Broncos and all the market adjustments. They had market adjustments on almost everything. They didn't have a market adjustment on the whole lot when I went back. So there are dealerships that are waking up and seeing that they can't do it anymore. It's probably, it's because they're not moving the vehicles, right? But it's just interesting to see that dynamic as I started last year, seeing all the market adjustments everywhere, and then through the course of last year, seeing them just continuously drop off.
Well, and honestly, we see the market stagnating to some degree. So it really is not to be able to drop inconceivable into the conversation again, but it is somewhat inconceivable to me that there are dealers out there that still find it appropriate to add additional dealer markups. And like I've said before, I think the only reason they do it is because they're hoping some brain dead character walks in that doesn't know any better and just says, okay, if that's what it is, that's what it is.
It's 100%.
Yeah, that they can't get it if they don't ask for it, and so they're conditioned to ask for it.
Yeah, definitely. I want to look at 2 more examples from the CarEdge car search, and then we'll switch gears to a different story. The Mustang Mach-E. This is a premium rear-wheel drive, 313 days supply. So just think about that. If you're in Charlotte and you drive around, you're going to see 132 of this particular trim for sale in that area. And no, only 19 have sold in the last 45 days. I am curious. I want to humor me here, guys. I want to look at one of the other trim levels of the Mach-E as well. So bear with me for a moment. We'll go Ford. We'll go new. We'll go drivetrain, electric. Let's look at another one. So that was the premium. Select is a little cheaper. Humor me here. Let me find one. Yeah, the GT. The GT. 196 days supply. So no matter how you slice it, just too many of these sitting around.
And according to a car dealership guy, they're one of that and the Ford Lightning are some of the best selling non-Tesla EVs.
That was actually our data that he pulled as well, Dad. I can cue that up in just a moment.
That.
I will say,
did he give us attribution?
Yes, he did. I will say though, some good news, and the other story that I did want to cover is this right here. It is from CDG. A positive note for consumers: new vehicles available below $30,000 are up a whopping 63% from last year.
Yeah,
this is the result of inventory rising and prices declining.
What does that mean in terms of actual numbers? Okay, the fact, I mean, they were last year, they represented less than 10% of all new car inventory that was available. And so it's gone up 63%. So what does that mean? It's now 15% of all vehicles, all new vehicles are, it used to be 30% just like 4 years ago. So, a 63% increase seems like a huge increase, but it might be actually minuscule in comparison to the rest of the new car market. But I guess it is a move in the right direction.
It might be all on the back of Nissan. I just recently went to a Nissan dealer to interview their GM, and 2 months ago they had no vehicles on their lot, and he was having a hard time getting Versas, Sentras, because they're in that $20,000 price point, and they could sell them instantly. Yes. Now he's got a lot full of Versas and Sentras, and they're not moving, and they're $19,000, they're $20,000, they're $21,000. So there's been a big disconnect even in the last couple months at this particular dealership, where they were not able to get these Versas, and then they could sell them as soon as they get them. Now they're getting overrun by Versas, and they can't sell them.
What does he attribute that to? Did you ask?
A lot of it is negative equity is coming in. He said negative equity was a big time problem, and people they're having a hard time getting people approved for loans, and that's just another thing of not being able to roll a lot of their negative equity in. He said a lot of the banks that they're using, they're still pumping 130, 140% LTV to try to get these people into the next car. But he said, 3 years from now, when they want to do it again, instead of being $6,000 underwater, they're going to be $10,000 underwater. So we're going to have, if they keep kicking the can down the road, then we're just going to have a bigger problem for the next foreseeable, a decade or so.
A decade, yeah. It almost seems like, or sounds like, that a lot of those people that are looking for sub $20,000 or low $20,000 vehicles are somewhat credit challenged, and that could be another reason why it's harder for them to get those people done, along with their negative equity. If you don't earn a lot of money, it's hard to keep up on all your bills. It's hard to pay everything in a timely fashion, and that could be part of the issue that they're running into with a lot of these people.
Speaking of affordability, Brandon, your dealership, used car dealership that you have you seen an uptick now that we're in tax time? And the reason I bring up affordability is you only sell cars under $5,000, $7,500, somewhere around there.
Yeah, we had we usually are $5,000 and under. We had a few cars this year, $5,500, which a lot of people throw it out in the comments. You say $5,000 and under, but they'll see me doing a video, and behind me there's a $5,500 car. At tax time, we try to extend our range just a little bit so we can have a few more cars. But anyway, even in that range, yeah, I mean, tax time hit us just like it does most years. And I think Nate, who's my sales manager, he told me we sold in a week and a half 64 cars.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so I mean, this is normal. This is normal.
Yes.
We get the rush, it hits us in the face, and then we're almost out of cars at this point. Last week I wasn't able to buy. I think we bought 3 cars because prices are ridiculous at auction, and they will be for the next few weeks.
So it makes it difficult for you if you can sell 60 cars in 10 days. It's kind of hard to be able to continue that pace when you can only buy 3 cars in a week. That's gonna you bought a 15-minute supply of cars.
yeah. If you look at our day supply, it's negative. But yeah. So like a few years ago, we had 154 cars going into tax time one year. This year, we saw a big uptick. It was the best January we ever had. And what I attribute that to is not that the car market was ripping or there was just money in the system. It's because we were acquiring more customers from this middle tier of customer that had to scale down because they have to get a cheaper car. They can't get loans, so they have to come buy something cash.
Not to tie back to the original, one of the original stories about Ford, that's why the Maverick is such a good option for them. It allows them to capture new market share, customers who are otherwise priced out of that brand. And then obviously, if you're just joining us now, Ford has cut back production. We don't know why, but Ford has cut back in February production of the Maverick, which is the most in-demand vehicle that actually allows them to do what you were just describing, Brandon, like give people an outlet that's under $30,000, which is still a ton of money. You're obviously in a slightly different, part of the world at $5,000 and less cars, but still it's the same concept, especially when the F-150 is a $70,000 pickup truck. It just gives people options. And then what's so shocking is that there is a production decline there, when in reality you would expect there to be this huge push. Just like you were saying, Brandon, you have a negative days supply of cars right now because there's so much demand for affordable options. It's fascinating to me. It seems like everyone's finally picking up on the affordability crisis. And however, we still see it's kind of like, one step forward, 2 steps back.
It seems that way. It really does. And, let's face it, Brandon caters to, unfortunately, probably one of the fastest growing segments in the car business. And the reason I say unfortunately, the reason it's growing so rapidly is because more and more people just find themselves in a position where they can't afford any longer to buy anything nicer than that. And let's face it, for somebody to scrape together $5,000 when you don't have a lot of money to begin with, that's tough for people to do. That really is tough for people. So, I've said this to Brandon in the past, and I'll say it again. I mean, God bless you for doing what you do and servicing that market that so desperately needs more availability of those types of cars.
And Brandon, God bless you, because unlike us, you don't shamelessly plug your business 24/7. Speaking of which, CarEdge.com, that's our we can make fun of ourselves here, folks. Brandon, do you want to respond to that? And then let's switch gears. Let's do our favorite segment of the show.
Yeah. And we're seeing an increase. I mean, it's good for my business, right? But also it's going to push more dealers into those type of vehicles, because a lot of the dealers, they're seeing trends in the market. They know where the market's going. They know that cash cars are going to be better in this environment right now. So it does hurt us on the buying side, and we would have loved to have 150 cars for tax season this year, but we didn't. We had 106 cars, I think was our peak. And it's going to be tough buying for the next couple months, but hopefully as the market stabilizes and as I predict is going to continue the downtrend that we're on, we'll be able to buy more and serve more people, and we can only hope that's what's going to happen.
Before we get to really, you got to be kidding me. You've mentioned that prices are up at the auction for the type of cars that you buy. What's your best guess as to when you think you might see some downward pressure on those prices?
So what typically happens is we have the tax checks hit right at the end of February. It's exactly what happened this year. We got slammed. And then you're going to have dealers that rush the auction, and it's even going to hit and we're seeing now it's even hitting that mid tier up to like probably $20,000. We still get a bump in that range too. And then all these dealers, they'll all rush the auction at the same time. They react to what happens in the market, and they have to reload at the higher prices. And then you get the sell through that stops, because as soon as the money gets into the system from tax refunds, it leaves just as quickly. We're thinking we're probably maybe a half a week to a week away from just it's done. And at that point, you'll still have some sell through at the auctions, because dealers will need a few weeks to fill their inventory back up. Mm-hmm. And for all the craziness to move through the system, it's done. But then you have this time period where, okay, dealers, they were able to pay off floor plans. They were able to load up on new vehicles to start their floor plan cycle over again. So you're going to get to where there's a 60-day period where prices can still stay high at the auctions, even though dealers aren't selling. They have to start getting pinched again by their floors. And then at that point, they'll stop showing up at the auctions. And when they stop showing up at the auctions, that's when prices every year, we use the word crash all the time, but this is what really happens to wholesale prices every single year. It doesn't crash on the retail side, but every year wholesale prices crash about a month and a half to 2 months after tax time.
So we're looking at mid-May?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What I like to say is, right, if you're looking at the retail side to start filling the end of tax season, is right at the beginning of summertime is when you can start picking on dealers that are like in my range, or the dealers that are on floor plans. That's when they're going to start getting really pinched.
June-ish for that, you think? Okay, very cool. Oh, now do I have to say something like, really? You've got to be kidding me.
We've got a new 2023 Jeep Gladiator Rubicon 4x4. And now the really you've got to be kidding me here is not the fact that there is a national 15% off program on this Jeep Gladiator, nor is it the fact that the dealer has taken off a substantial $4,400 dealer discount. So, you've got well over $15,000 off on a $73,450 Jeep Gladiator. The really you've got to be kidding me is when you enter that Jeep on CarEdge.com/sell, the highest offer you get is $41,400. The really you've got to be kidding me here,
yes,
Brandon and Pops, is that Jeep has so overpriced their inventory that even when they offer a nationwide 15% off discount, it is not nearly enough to get that vehicle to be more representative of what it's actually worth, which would be another 15% off. They need to do 30% off to actually have this thing be what the market thinks is a fair value for it. Absolute absurdity.
Well, where else? Where else could you spend $58,000 and turn that into $41,000 like that? I mean, like that. And who in their right mind wouldn't want to do that? I mean, really, I'm almost in.
You buying one, Brandon? Now, so what happens when, these dealers, they have to absolutely be seeing all this data come through the system. You have dealer problems. You have dealers that are partners with you guys that are under Stellantis. What are they saying about Gladiators? Are like, okay, well, the prices are down 15%. Are they just saying, okay, we're going to go cut everything by 15-20%? Or are they saying, well, maybe there's a customer there and we'll just pay our $500 floor plan on this and just kick the can down the road.
It's miraculous to me that they're still in business. I mean that with all sincerity, and we are very appreciative. We do have CDJR partners, and we sell through CarEdge.com a lot of their vehicles, and they're very grateful for that at huge discounts. And I still don't understand how their businesses operate, Brandon, in all honesty, because they're losing so much money. I was having a conversation with one of the owners, and the actual operating leverage he has in the business when he factors in all of his costs, it's the lowest it's ever been. He looks at all of his financial metrics, it's the lowest it's ever been. He's actually really excited. He's really excited because he thinks this is a time where either Stellantis is going to come out with really aggressive programs and try and rise from the dead, or they're just going to go out of business. And he doesn't think they're going to go out of business. So I think we're going to, and they think we're going to continue to see more and more kind of stair-step programs from Stellantis. Stair-step meaning the programs got better in March than they were in February. They're going to get better in April than they were in March. They're going to get better in May than they were in April. It's just going to progressively get more and more because they have all this inventory they have to liquidate. And we're seeing them turn down allocation like crazy. So they're trying to mitigate their floor plan costs by not taking on new vehicles. But eventually someone's got to pay for this. And I think you're just going to continue to see every month new programs come out that just get progressively higher. And next month will be the 20% off 2023 Jeep Gladiators. The month after that'll be 25% off. They're just going to progressively do it.
I hear what you said. And I remember the conversation we had yesterday that you had with a major dealer player in the South, and his words were, the cavalry as far as incentives is not coming to our rescue. It's not going to get very much better than what it already is. It's just now we all have to bite the bullet and sell these things for whatever we can get and suffer whatever that loss may be. And he is a really pretty big player in the South. So, I think there's some dealers that are deluding themselves into thinking that Stellantis is going to come save them and put even bigger incentives on their vehicles. And then there's other dealers like this one who realize Stellantis has already screwed us, and they're not going to screw themselves by coming up with any more in the way of incentives.
Ray, I've got a question for you. So you want a Gladiator? You're going into a Jeep Dodge Ram dealership. What offer off of whatever price they have? What are you asking for?
If I was a customer,
yep.
I'd probably look at that dealer and forgetting the fact that Car Gurus was a high bidder at 41.4. I'd probably look at that dealer and say $50,000 out the door, and I would sign on the dotted line. Because at that point, $50,000 out the door is somewhere around $46,000, $45,500 plus fees. So if I can get almost $30,000 off a $73,000 leftover, that might be enough to motivate me.
So you're looking at 40-ish% off. That's what you're going in at.
That's what I would do. Let's face it. These dealers are not. They're not dealing with the customers from a position of strength. They have no leverage. Their only leverage is that most powerful 2-letter word. No, we're not going to do that. Okay, well, I'll come back in another 6 weeks and see if you've changed your mind, because this vehicle more than likely will still be sitting here. And if you say no again in 6 weeks, I'll come back in another 6 weeks after that. Okay, and at that point, I'll ask you for $50,000 out the door and new tires, because I know the tires are flat spotted. So what is it that you want to do? I mean, there is no leverage for the dealer here. There's no demand for the vehicle. So what leverage does the dealer really have other than deluding themselves into thinking there's enough morons out there that are going to come in and buy? There aren't. So what do? You bite the bullet and you move on.
The new promo is going to be, okay, you get a new battery too with each purchase. Yeah.
You know, I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't know. You know, typically, what was it, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, dealers had all the leverage. There was demand and there was no product. Now there's product and no demand. You know, what are you going to do? What are you can't just sit on this stuff forever. I mean, unless you have such a cash heavy position that you can own your inventory, and I don't know why anybody would do that, because let me remind them, it's a depreciating asset. Just sell it. Well, yeah, but you're different. You're dealing in $5,000 and under cars. You're not dealing with $74,000 Gladiators.
No, I get it.
And when you do, they're a $5,000 Gladiator.
I mean, Dad, it was only a year and a half ago we saw dealer markups and addendums on Jeep Gladiators, especially when they first came out. People were spending over MSRP on them. And you're right. There's absolutely no leverage.
We did videos last summer. I don't think those videos are up anymore because the dealer sent us a cease and desist letter. But we did videos last summer, and every one of their Jeep, every one of their products had an additional $5,000 dealer markup on stuff that nobody wanted. Okay, so you know, really, tell me, what's their leverage?
Here's the problem. If you want to do a video on the dealership, you got to say something nice about them and give them a little exposure, and they're okay with it. You just got.
Well, we try not to name names, but you know, some of the stuff pops up in the videos, and
all right, yeah.
And I was going to say that, you know, the lot was lined nicely, and the facility looked clean. It's just,
there you go. That's it. That's it. That's all you got to do.
Yeah.
We're going to switch gears here, folks. We're going to give Daniel a huge congratulations. I graduated from Deal School 3.0 on Saturday. For those of you that are not familiar, probably one of the greatest things my dad and I have ever worked on. Maybe we'll do a used car deal school. We can maybe rope Brandon into that in the future. Resources, click on Deal School. It's 100% free. It's an online course that teaches you how to buy a car from yours truly. Here at CarEdge, everything from negotiating, understanding your market conditions, finance and insurance, getting pre-qualified for an auto loan at your credit union. So congratulations to you, Daniel, on finishing that. And then we had some very thoughtful contributions come in earlier on the show from Charles. Thank you, Charles. He says, how low do you think Gladiator Rubicons are going to get? I found 23s going for right under $30,000 in Naperville, Illinois. I know, Charles, we were just discussing that exactly. Shoot even lower. I will say, some of the dealer groups in Illinois are a little...
I would be curious as to who owns that dealership in Naperville. I think the name of the dealership probably begins with an N, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, just it depends. It depends on what they want to add to their advertised price.
Exactly. Get an OTD quote. We've got here from Adam, Crazy Knife Meow. Very great avatar. Thank you for the contribution. FYI, we sold my wife's Jeep Eco Diesel and we have a Model Y on order. Now my motorcycle is my daily and my wife will drive my Ford Raptor till the car comes in. It's still chilly in Iowa, but it's worth it. Another example of people leaving the Jeep brand. And then we have here from Matt. Thank you, Matt. So are there more buyers buying vehicles regardless of APR and negative equity, or waiting for positive equity to use as down payment on a new vehicle? I think waiting for a positive equity situation, probably not the right move. Cars are depreciating assets. They weren't for a year and a half there, and now they are again. It's kind of like trying to catch a falling knife. It's just the unfortunate reality, and keep me honest here, guys. The unfortunate reality is a lot of people paid over MSRP for new cars and paid super inflated used car prices recently. So the negative equity situation, it looks worse today than it would have, had there not been a pandemic.
People could be waiting a very long time, a lot of those people, to ever have positive equity, and they might have to wait till they make that 72nd payment on that 72-month note. In some cases.
And typically the best thing you can do is just hold on to the thing. Just fight the urge to get into something
Yes.
new and just keep paying it off. One final comment here from Brian. Does anyone know if you can get a Toyota Grand Highlander hybrid at MSRP, i.e. no additional dealer products? Yes, CarEdge.com. We have our first Toyota dealer in our dealer network, and we are not over MSRP on any doggone thing. So please, if you're in the market for a Toyota, you might have to pay shipping depending on where you are located, but you can check that out back at CarEdge.
What can you get me a Sequoia for? I want to buy a Sequoia.
Sequoia, you're on a wait list.
Awesome.
Yep. Sequoia and some Siennas, some of the TRD Pros are still really hard to get. Yeah. So Toyota, you may have seen it, Brandon. We talked about the other day. Their hybrid lineup has a 4 days supply nationwide. They're still very, very undersupplied. It's insane.
All right. Well, put my wife on the Sequoia wait list so she can buy it for me whenever we get our name called.
Consider it done, man. All right. Well, happy Monday, Brandon. Go check out his channel, Car Questions Answered. And are you still posting over on CQA Live?
Yeah, we do lives every probably 2 or 3 times a week now. So yeah, please, we need subscribers over there. You are watching, but you're not subscribing. CQA Live, go over there and hit the button, please. Please.
Go check out Brandon's channels. And Pops, you look great in green, man. Like, actually, Brandon, I'm gonna just pull you off real quick. I'm gonna pull myself off. Let's just all admire this. Just one.
Yeah, and if I put on a red robe, I'll look a lot like Santa Claus.
You look good, man. I'm just saying, you look good. You look really good today.
Well,
Dad, go enjoy your new bed. Congratulations.
Well, I just got the new, and so I'm thinking I could go to bed early today, just to check.
Did you test drive it? Did you test drive it before you purchased it?
I went to the mattress store, and like every other putz in America, I laid down on their mattresses all over the store, and sure, why shouldn't you be able to tell after, I don't know, 15, 18, 20 seconds? Oh yeah, this is the right mattress for me. Because who doesn't just sleep for 15, 18, 20 seconds? So, you can lay on all the mattresses you want. You can test drive every one of those damn mattresses for that 30 seconds. But it means nothing until you really try and sleep on the damn thing.
And did you negotiate the out the door price when you went into it?
I did not.
Oh. All right, let's go.
We got work to do, folks. We got work to do. Brandon, enjoy your week.
Do you know why? Do you know why there was no YouTube channel Mattress Edge to teach me to teach
new product,
Yeah.
Zach, I have an idea.
Well, we should share it off here.
Happy Monday. Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you back here tomorrow. You two are
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for being here today. And thank you, Handsome. It's good to see you, Sonny boy.
Love you, Dad. See you guys.